All right, guys. So I wanted to use Thursday to reflect on some things that happened in my past. And this has been coming up a lot recently. People always ask me, why did I make my daughter's mom a baby mother? A lot of people were like, hey, why didn't you marry that girl? So I'm going to give you a couple reasons why I did not marry my daughter's mother. So, reason number one is I realized that even though people generally struggle with accountability, she is definitely one of those people who 100% struggles with accountability. So nothing is ever her fault. It's always somebody else's fault. There's always a reason why something happened and she was never at fault. And so that begins to eat into the relationship. So when things happen and it's clearly she's the one that's in the wrong, and you're asking her friends and your friends and they're agreeing with you, and she refuses to acknowledge that she's wrong, then I said to myself, this is not somebody that I need to marry. Another thing is I realized that I could not trust her. One thing I saw with her over time, which, unfortunately, by the time I started to see this, we already had our daughter. She couldn't be trusted. There were like simple things that I saw that I was just like, hey, that's not cool. That's super dishonest. I mean, one thing I saw was we had like an issue with a washing machine, and she wanted the person we were renting from to hurry up and fix it, and it was working, but it just wasn't doing a good job. So she started to like add all these extra lies, and I thought nothing of it. But then it got even worse. My daughter was actually doing daycare at this lady's house, and the lady thought that they were friends, and so she would tell her all kinds of secrets that she wouldn't want her to tell anybody else. She'll come back and tell me, and which is not really an issue because we're in a relationship. But when you come back and tell me and you're laughing at her behind her back, I was like, oh, you can't be trusted, because who knows what you say about me behind my back. And long and behold, she was doing that, because a lot of women like to complain about their boyfriends and husbands not doing certain things, and they'll lie and say, oh, I talked to him about it. No, you didn't. A lot of women are complaining about their guys not helping out and not doing certain things, and then you find out that it's new to you as the boyfriend or the husband, because they don't know how to communicate. But they'll communicate with somebody else and tell them everything and tell them your business, and then the person will say, why don't you talk to them? And oh, I tried. No, you didn't try. Some of y'all not trying. Some of y'all probably are trying, but women, some of y'all just like, y'all be having problems, and y'all scared to go to your spouse and have a conversation with your spouse or your boyfriend or whatever situation you're in. And so that trust issues with her was crazy. I mean, I never really thought about cheating. I never cheated myself. She probably did cheat, because she ended up talking about dudes from work. So she had like a work husband, pretty much. I'm like, yeah, that's my sign. I need to get out of here, because realistically, I think most men, if they got cheated on, probably would not marry a girl. But for me, it wasn't really a thought for me, and I was just kind of like, all right, cool. We're arguing a lot, which is another thing. So that's another reason we started to butt heads a lot. We were always butting heads, but it got worse towards the end. And so I said to her, because I was at the verge where I have to figure out, like, okay, I can't keep her as my girlfriend forever, so I got to figure out if I can overcome any issues I have with her, and decide that we should take the next step. And again, I already had problems with accountability, so I'm like, all right, cool, let's go to a therapist and see what I'm doing wrong, and let's see what she's doing wrong. And she did not want a third party to step in, and that's a classic sign of manipulation. Like, when people want to manipulate you, they don't want you going to a third party and getting advice from a third party. They don't want you, bringing their peoples in, because then it really shows that they're unreasonable. And then they'll just write it off as, oh yeah, well, that person likes you, so that's why they agreed with you. And I mean, like I said, trust issues, lack of accountability, not wanting to see a therapist, because again, that's a part of accountability. I already posted a video where a lot of women are not wanting to do therapy with their husbands because the therapist is agreeing with their husbands. And so imagine me deciding to marry this chick, and knowing that she has those issues, the marriage would not have worked. I mean, people are marrying their boyfriend and girlfriends with issues, thinking that marriage will fix it. And honestly, it doesn't for most people, because we say over 50% of marriages fail. So I didn't want to become a part of that statistics. I did become a part of these single family statistics, which, you know, people don't like those statistics either. I mean, most people say that you should stay married, but, you know, imagine marrying somebody, which a lot of men do, and realizing that this was not the person you should marry, or you're not happy in the marriage. But men tend to stay in marriages that they're not happy in. Women won't. Women will say, well, you know, I try to tell him that he needs to help out more and he's not doing it, so you know what, I'm going to get a divorce. Or sometimes y'all find somebody else and y'all want a divorce. Like, people don't like to acknowledge that. A lot of people like to go to the extremes and say, oh, divorces, the 80% that women are initiating, or from DV, or from the husband not doing what he's supposed to do. But I think it's probably less than 40%. Like, I'm sure there are some DV cases in there, but y'all find it much easier to leave, because I think marriages, when it comes to divorce, it favors women. Like, women will say, well, my divorce was horrible because my husband kept all his money, and that's really what it comes down to. But yeah, I'm glad I ain't get married. So I don't know, for y'all people out there that got married and then divorced, would y'all rather be me and my ex, where it's like we didn't have to do the divorce, we still had to go to court to do the child custody thing, and it's not because, well, it's because she didn't want to share time. That's realistically what it was. If she wanted to share time, we wouldn't have to do family court, and then life would have been much better, because she came back to me later on and said that it was like a waste of $14,000 for her and for me. So what do you guys think?